Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the People Podcast. I'm Naseer Mohammed, founder of Ethos of HR, where we support organizations in building people strategies that actually work in practice, not just on paper. Before we get into today's topic, I should probably start with a quick explanation because you might have noticed that this episode has taken a little longer than usual to come out. The reason is quite simple. It's Ramadan, which means I'm currently fasting from sunrise to sunset. And let's just say recording a podcast about leadership, strategy, and HR while running on no coffee and no water is a slightly different experience. Normally, podcasts are powered by ideas. Right now, this podcast is powered by pure willpower and the countdown to iftar. So if my voice sounds slightly slower today, that's not deep reflection. That's just the fasting. But actually, the timing of this episode is quite interesting because HR teams across the UK are also running on a lot of willpower right now. One of the big reasons for that is the Employment Rights Act 2025, which many organizations are currently preparing for. And that's exactly what makes today's topic particularly relevant. So why is HR so busy right now? Across the HR profession, many teams are currently reviewing policies, updating procedures, and preparing organizations for changes coming through the Employment Rights Act 2025. For HR professionals, this means reviewing employment contracts, updating policies, supporting managers with guidance, and ensuring organizations understand their responsibilities under the new legislation. Legislative changes like this are important because they strengthen employee protections and help workplaces evolve in a fair and responsible way. However, they also add to the already significant workload HR teams are managing. While HR professionals are preparing for legislative changes, they are also dealing with everyday realities of organizational life. Employee relations issues still arise, recruitment challenges continue, retention remains a concern, and organizations are constantly thinking about engagement, culture, and leadership capability. At the same time, many organizations are implementing new HR technologies, reviewing their people strategies, and trying to improve the overall employee experience. In other words, HR has never been busier. When organizations become very busy with HR initiatives, something interesting often happens. They start doing a lot of things at the same time. New policies are introduced, new systems are implemented, new engagement programs are launched, well-being initiatives appear, leadership frameworks are developed. All of these things can be valuable. But when too many initiatives happen at once, organizations sometimes lose sight of a very important question. What actually drives meaningful impact for our people and our organization? Not every HR initiative delivers the same level of value. Some initiatives genuinely improve the employee experience and organization performance. Others simply add complexity. And that is why many organizations are now starting to rethink their approach and ask themselves a much simpler question. What should we actually focus on? From my experience working across different industries such as hospitality, healthcare, charities, and now consultancy, I've noticed that organizations with people strategies usually focus on a few key foundations. They don't try to do everything. Instead, They focus on doing the most important things well. The first foundation is having a clear people strategy. Employees need to understand where the organization is going and how their work contributes to the bigger picture. When leaders communicate this clearly, people feel more connected to the organization and more motivated in their roles. The second foundation is employee engagement and workplace culture. When people feel recognized, supported, and valued, they naturally become more invested in the organization's success. Engagement is not simply about running surveys or collecting feedback. It is about leadership behavior, communication, and creating an environment where people feel they belong. The third foundation is having effective HR systems and processes. Technology can significantly improve how HR operates, but only when it supports the organization's people strategy. HR systems should make processes simpler, enable better decision-making, and improve the experience for both employees and managers. One trend I am seeing more frequently is organizations returning to something quite simple but incredibly valuable. That is the HR audit. Many organizations are taking a step back and asking themselves whether their HR practices are truly aligned with how the organization operates. They want to understand whether their policies are effective, whether their processes support managers, and whether their systems are helping the organization achieve its goals. An HR audit provides that clarity. It helps organizations identify what is working well and where improvements can be made. Sometimes the most valuable outcome of an HR audit is not discovering something new, but recognizing that organizations simply need to focus on fewer priorities and do them well. At Ethos of HR, this philosophy sits at the heart of how organizations are supported, helping them align their people strategy with engagement, development, and practical HR solutions. What is the role of HR leaders today? The expectations placed on HR leaders have changed significantly over the past few years. HR is no longer viewed purely as a compliance function responsible for policies and procedures. Organizations now expect HR to act as a strategic partner that supports business growth and organizational performance. This means HR leaders need to understand the business, understand the workforce, and help leaders make better decisions about people. The most effective HR leaders today are those who bring clarity to complexity. They simplify processes, prioritize initiatives, and help organizations focus on what truly matters. For organizations listening to this episode, there are a few simple questions worth reflecting on. The first question is whether your organization has a clear people strategy that connects directly to your organizational goals. The second question is whether employee engagement and culture are genuinely being prioritized or simply measured. The third question is whether your HR systems and processes are making work easier for employees and managers, or whether they are adding unnecessary complexity. When these areas align, people's strategies stop being a theory and begin delivering meaningful results. HR will continue to evolve. New legislation will be introduced, New technologies will appear. New ideas will reshape the way organizations operate. But the organizations that succeed are usually the ones that remember something very simple. People's strategies do not succeed because they are complex. They succeed because they are clear, aligned, and focused on what truly matters. Thank you for listening to the People Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to follow the podcast and share it with your colleagues who are passionate about building better workplaces. And those who are observing Ramadan like me, I hope you're also counting down to Iftar. Until next time, keep putting people at the heart of your organization.